Hi people, Rod from ME here. Today's installment is entitled Ed's Dead, baby. Ed's dead. But before we get to that, please remember to like and share the video. Please hit one of the buttons there, or hit one of the addresses where you can contribute a little bit to the running and maintenance of this channel, because we need the money. And the addresses are all there. You don't have to send much. Price of a pint is fine. Enough of you send the price of a pint, we don't have a problem. But we do have a problem at the moment. So please help. Thank you. Ed's dead. Which Ed could we possibly be referring to? In none other, of course, then Eddie Izzard. Eddie Izzard came to prominence in the late 1980s as a stand-up comedian, and has later had a good career as an actor and as a writer as well, actually. He has always been autogynephilic, at least as long as he's been in the public eye, and this has increasingly become in control of him. In the late 80s, he did have a relationship with a woman that he never married. He apparently doesn't approve of marriage, and then it kind of didn't break up, but didn't break up. You know, they're still very good friends, and apparently she's working with him on his new film, because apparently he's all over the place and she's very organised. So it looks like they're best friends, which is pretty typical for an autogynephile. So what's actually happened here? You'll be aware that Eddie Izzard has been cross-dressing publicly for many years, and not being at all shy about it. And he's the one who said famously, "These are not women's clothes, these are my clothes." I think, in all honesty, this is a man whose autogynephilia was basically, he was in denial. And that is not a river in Egypt. And we don't know what actually provoked his final collapse, the final collapse of the host. It happened late last year. That's the way it goes. Maybe it's something to do with his perception of greater tolerance in society, so that there would be Fleming's axiom coming into play. Maybe his autogynephilic artifact simply wore down the host to the point that it just couldn't hang on any longer and it died. Either are possible. Both could be happening in conjunction. Remember that what actually happens here is that in autogynephilia there are two personalities inside the one mind. The host personality, who's obviously a male, creates the second personality, the artifact, who becomes his lover. And that artifact is created usually as a heterosexual woman, because he's going to have a heterosexual woman as his lover, he being a man. And eventually, if this is allowed to continue, it's possible for this second personality, this artifact, to simply take over and completely destroy the host. Now, I was asked the other day, is the host dead or just dormant? It's a very good question, and I don't think any of us actually know the answer to that. There have certainly been cases where it does appear that the host is completely destroyed. It's just dead. There are other cases, though, where it seems to sort of rise Lazarus-like from the metaphorical grave that it was put in, and re-inhabit the body, perhaps years after it had disappeared. And this basically accounts for a good deal of older autogynephiles detransitioning. The artifact has actually died back again. And there are a number of reasons why this could happen. One is possibly that as men get older, they tend to have slightly reduced levels of testosterone in their blood, and we know that there's a link between autogynephilia and testosterone. So possibly that's contributing here, that as the testosterone comes down, the autogynephilic feelings just go away, and guess what? Like a vampire, the host rises from the grave and reasserts itself. And you'll have seen, many people on YouTube who are detransitioned autogynephiles who now make lots of money telling people how awful it is to transition. That's what happened to them. Something changed in their life that brought the host back into being, back to life, and he took over again. He was able to fight back the artifact. The trouble is that we don't know how successful that would be, and nobody in that position would be able to know, because autogynephiles are famous for binging and purging. They're famous for weak self-ideation, such that the host and the artifact actually are in opposition. Far from being lovers, they're against each other. And so one will constantly try to suppress the other. And if one gets away with it, for example, this is what happens in binging and purging, and the subject goes and spends fortunes on women's clothes, and then after a while he's binged so hard that he feels completely disgusted with it, absolutely shocked at himself, destroys everything, burns it, puts it in a dumpster miles away, pretends nothing had happened, and then after a few months slowly starts going back to those sites again, and he starts maybe visiting those shops again, getting back in touch with those people he used to know, and buying the clothes back. And this cycle of binging and purging can just keep going, and it can ruin them, quite literally ruin them, because it burns up the credit card very quickly. Eddie Izzard's a very rich man, so he's probably not going to be bothered about that. But we will wait and see. It's only a matter of a few months. I haven't done anything on this before this, because I've seen this before, where an autogynephile says, "That's it, I'm a woman now," and then a short while later it's like, well, wait a minute, actually, maybe I was a little rash. It does seem that Eddie's position is relatively settled, that he will actually stay, at least for a period of time, in this feminine role, this female role. Whether it will be permanent or not, we simply cannot say. That's not something that I could predict. I think even if you had counselling sessions with Eddie, it's not something you could just make an accurate prediction of. The complex, there's a dynamic between the host and the artifact that's incredibly complex. And remember, although the idea is that the host is in love with the artifact, it's actually a love-hate relationship. There's a part of the host that really detests what the artifact does to him, and there's a part of the artifact that really detests what the host does. The artifact, after all, is the one who feels gender dysphoria at presenting as a man. The host doesn't feel it. Why would he feel gender dysphoria? He's a man. Why would he be bothered about appearing as a man? It's not him that feels the gender dysphoria. It's the artifact. The artifact gets increasingly irritated and annoyed at having to present in this male manner, which the host is quite happy with. And of course the next thing that will happen is if the artifact takes over, then at some point in the future it's quite possible that the host might feel the same way. He might start developing gender dysphoria the other way round, at appearing to be a woman. And he's going, but wait a minute, I'm actually a man. Why am I appearing to be a woman? Autogynephilia is a really interesting subject, and this particular side of it is difficult. It's complicated, and it produces extremely complex reactions within the individual who has it. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Ed's dead for the time being. He may well come back, Never know. You never know. Meantime, see ya. Bye-bye.